This is part one of how to overcome anxiety when you're driving. In this part, I'm going to talk about how you can prepare yourself before you get behind the wheel to hopefully reduce your anxiety levels. This part is intended for both new drivers, including learners, and experienced drivers. As I understand, anxiety doesn't only affect new drivers. In fact, some experienced drivers who have been driving for many years with no problems at all can suddenly start to feel anxious. If you're one of those people, you can take comfort in the fact of knowing you're not alone. It does happen. I do get calls from people who need help because they've suddenly started to feel anxious when they're behind the wheel. In part two, I'll be talking about different aspects of driving that can trigger the anxiety or make it worse, because understanding what causes it can help you control how it affects you. Before you even touch your car keys, you need to accept. And I cannot begin to emphasize how important acceptance is when it comes to overcoming anxiety when you're driving. You need to accept you're going to get things wrong. And if you're a learner, of course you're going to get things wrong. You haven't learned to drive yet. You are learning how to do something, so you don't know what you're doing. And if you're an experienced driver, well, you're not infallible. Mistakes will happen. You will forget some things as well. The key is to learn from it and move on, not beat yourself up about it, and accept these things do happen. I'm a driving instructor and I make mistakes. And I'm in a driving school car with an L plate on the roof. And when I make a mistake, don't people like to tell me about it? Oh, look at that, driving instructor makes a mistake. Lovely, let's tell him what he's done wrong. Don't give up the day job. There's 3 ways you can deal with mistakes. 1 is to worry about it and let it consume you, not accept that these things happen. 2 is to learn from it, try your best not to let it happen again, but accept that it may well happen, but enjoy your day. 3 is to instantly try to pass the buck onto somebody else and not take any responsibility for what you've just done. Know anyone like that? And this person is more likely to prey on someone who is looking a bit more vulnerable, because they know they're probably going to get away with blaming it on them without too much of a comeback. Don't let that happen. Stand up for yourself. Understand that you cannot win when it comes to driving. You're always going to annoy someone. Sometimes you can be doing absolutely nothing wrong and someone will have a go at you. You can drive carefully, slow down for hazards, and somebody's going to have a go at you for slowing down for the hazard. Okay? You cannot slow down for hazards, and somebody's going to have a go at you for not slowing down for the hazard. Plus, it's dangerous. You can drive within the speed limit, and you're going to get harassed for driving too slowly. You can drive over the speed limit, and you're going to get harassed for driving too fast and risk a speeding ticket, a fine and points on your license. There is a Goldilocks zone somewhere in the middle where you can minimize harassment, but you'll never get rid of it completely. So before you get in a car, you've got to accept that people are probably going to have a go at you and not let it affect you. Accept that it's all part and parcel of driving. It's normal. It's not just you. Happens to everyone. Just got to ignore it. And as I say, carry on. Enjoy your day. Think about all the good things you're going to do on that day. It's probably best to lay off the caffeine until after you've driven somewhere. Now, I know there's plenty of advice out there about taking many breaks and boosting your alertness with a caffeinated beverage. And whilst I agree with regular breaks, if you suffer from anxiety, caffeine can make things worse. Caffeine affects different people differently, so you have to be the judge. You have to decide, is it worth me delaying my coffee until after I've driven, or it's probably not going to make a difference to me. But it is known that caffeine puts people on edge and it can increase anxiety levels. And if you're already anxious, that may be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And if you're anything like me after a coffee, shortly afterwards, you'll be wanting to cross your legs and waiting for your next toilet break, which doesn't do a lot for your concentration. Another thing you can consider is exercise. Now, this can be awkward. It depends on your schedule, but if you can fit exercise in before your drive, particularly if you're doing driving lessons, you have, say, 1 a week, 1 at 11, say, do your exercise at 9, that may help, because exercise is known to improve your mood and increase positivity. And positivity, well, isn't that the exact opposite of anxiety? So surely it must do some good, and I can testify to exercise helping me. I detest running, I detest being out of breath, I detest feeling hot and bothered and then having to have a shower. And although it may take a whole half an hour of my time, I generally feel a lot better for about half a day afterwards. So that's a good trade. Try and be realistic with your goals and how much you can expect to improve in a very short period of time. You today are going to be brilliant. You're going to drive perfectly. Aren't you forgetting last time when I actually cried because someone papped their horn at me? Don't care, you're over it. You've got the confidence of a peacock. You know, the bird with all the feathers that sticks up from its bum. Yes, I know what a peacock is. Don't you think you're getting a little bit cocky? Nah, just do it. I want you to do that roundabout you couldn't do last time. Somebody behind wants me to go. I can't go. What do I do? Help! Oh, my mistake. Maybe it is too early to do this. What? You can't leave me! Trying to take massive strides in confidence instead of small steps will mean you're less likely to achieve your goal, which means you're less likely to become more confident. If you only drive occasionally, you're more likely to have anxiety, as you're less likely to be confident in your skills behind the wheel because you've got less seat time. So if you can drive more often, that will certainly help improve your confidence. If you're learning to drive, tell your driving instructor about any fears or worries you may have, because if you sweep them under the rug and try and forget about them, they're not going away. And if you tell your driving instructor what it is you're afraid of, your driving instructor is more likely to understand you, which means they're in a better position to help you. If you're not learning to drive, try and find someone who can sympathize with you with a sympathetic ear and help you understand what it is you're afraid of. Don't waste your time talking to someone who would be like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never had a problem with driving. What's all the fuss about? Because, well, they're probably not going to help you. Well, that's all for part 1. Up there is a link to part 2, which will be available next week. If this video is already a week old, part 2 will be available now. Part 2 is about different driving situations that can antagonize and cause anxiety, because once you understand what the cause is, that can often help you control it. I also did a video a while back on a positive feedback loop and how that can help you overcome anxiety. If you want to check that out, video in the top right hand corner of your screen now. I recommend watching that. If you think the video helps, please give it a thumbs up. And check out Collingwood and Confused in the description. If you're learning to drive, Collingwood can help because you can insure yourself on a friend or family member's car without affecting the supervisor's policy. And that's handy because that takes away some of the anxiety of the supervisor, meaning they can be a bit more calm when they're helping you. Via the link, up to 35% off at the moment and a £20 Amazon gift card. And using the link does support this channel, so thank you very much. Confused.com, check them out via the link. That also supports this channel. I recommend Confused.com if you are looking to insure your own car, because you can fill out one quote form and get loads of quotes back to find out who's cheapest, and you can change the vehicle on that quote many times to find out how much it costs to insure different cars. I've got Instagram and Facebook at the moment. They're both Conquer Driving. If you want to look at those, I upload to them regularly. And if you want to get my future videos, please subscribe. And until the next one, cheerio.